The trial of Socrates is one of the most famous trials in the history of philosophy. It was not only a legal case, but also a conflict between philosophy, society, and political power in ancient Athens. The trial took place in 399 BCE, and it ended with Socrates being sentenced to death. However, the event later became a powerful symbol of freedom of thought and intellectual courage. 1. Historical background. At the time of Socrates' trial, Athens had recently suffered defeat in the Peloponnesian War against Sparta. The war caused political instability and social tension within Athens. After the war, Athens briefly came under the rule of an oligarchic regime known as the 30 Tyrants. One of the leaders of this regime was Critias, who had previously been associated with Socrates. Because of this connection, many Athenians became suspicious of Socrates and his influence on young people and politics. 2. The accusers and charges. Socrates was formally accused by 3 men: Melitus, a poet; Anytus, an influential politician; Lycon, an orator. They charged him with 3 main accusations. 1. Corrupting the youth of Athens. They claimed that Socrates encouraged young people to question authority and traditional values. 2. Not believing in the gods of the city. He was accused of rejecting the traditional gods of ancient Greece. 3. Introducing new spiritual beliefs. This accusation was connected to Socrates' claim that he followed a divine inner voice or spiritual sign, often called his daemon. Although these accusations appeared religious and moral, many historians believe they were deeply political. 3. The Athenian legal system. The trial took place before a large jury of citizens in Athens. The legal process differed from modern courts. The jury consisted of about 500 citizens. There was no professional judge directing the verdict. Both sides delivered speeches. The jurors then voted directly to determine guilt or innocence. 4. Socrates' defense. Most of what we know about the trial comes from the work Apology, written by his student Plato. In his defense, Socrates made several important arguments. 1. His philosophical mission. Socrates explained that his mission was to examine people and reveal false wisdom. He referred to a statement from the oracle at the temple of Apollo at Delphi, which declared that no one was wiser than Socrates. Socrates interpreted this to mean that he was wise only because he knew that he did not know. 2. His method of questioning. Socrates practiced a method of discussion based on asking questions and examining ideas. This approach is now known as the Socratic method. 3. Refusal to beg for mercy. Unlike many defendants, Socrates refused to beg the jury for sympathy. He did not cry or bring his family to influence the court. He argued that justice should depend on truth and reason, not emotional appeals. 5. The verdict. After the first vote, the jury found Socrates guilty, though by a relatively small margin. According to Athenian law, after a guilty verdict, the accusers proposed a punishment. The defendant could propose an alternative punishment. The accusers demanded death. Socrates initially responded ironically, suggesting that instead of punishment, he deserved to be rewarded by the state with free meals for serving Athens through philosophy. Later, he suggested a small fine, but the jury considered this response arrogant. As a result, they voted for the death penalty. 6. The execution. Socrates was sentenced to die by drinking poison made from the plant hemlock. The account of his final moments appears in the dialogue Phaedo, also written by Plato. Before his death, his friends offered to help him escape prison. Socrates refused, arguing that escaping would violate the laws of Athens. He calmly drank the poison, and gradually his body became paralyzed until he died. 7. Why Socrates was really executed. Many historians believe the real reasons behind the trial included his strong criticism of politicians and influential figures, his powerful influence on young intellectuals, fear of independent and critical thinking, the unstable political climate in Athens after the war. Therefore, the trial was likely both political and philosophical. 8. Historical significance. The trial of Socrates became one of the most important moments in the history of philosophy. It symbolizes freedom of thought, moral courage, the importance of questioning authority. The event deeply influenced Plato, who later founded the Platonic Academy in Athens, one of the earliest and most influential institutions of higher learning in the Western world. In summary, the trial of Socrates represents a turning point in intellectual history. Rather than abandoning his philosophical principles, Socrates chose to accept death, demonstrating his commitment to truth, inquiry, and the pursuit of wisdom. If you want, I can also explain why some historians believe Socrates intentionally provoked the jury, or the dramatic details of his final conversation before death, which is one of the most powerful scenes in philosophy.